Welcome everyone to the June, hold on.
27th.
Yeah, so welcome everyone to the June 27th Finance Committee meeting. We are meeting via Zoom. Our agenda for tonight is fairly short. We'll have an update from our interim town administrator. Ryan, thanks for joining us tonight. And then we have member updates. We will approve minutes, have public input, and adjourn. So with that, Ryan, I'll toss it over to you for the start. I know we had a couple questions we tossed your way, and then also you had a motion that you wanted us to make this meeting for end of year transfers.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, you're great.
Yep. Okay. Sure. Okay. So Tyler had asked for a few updates. Let me see where my camera should be on too. So let me see if I can put that on. Hold on a second. Well, I can't find it, but we'll go with this then. So Tyler asked for an update on a few things. The first thing was status of hiring a town accountant. So we've done a few things on that front. First being that we promoted Michelle Reynolds from assistant town accountant to town accountant. Michelle does not have the title of finance director. We sort of set that aside for the time being, with the understanding we need to make a determination that we will be hiring a finance director at some point or reconfiguring the position. We are still trying to figure that out right now. In the interim, we've also hired Cade Noonan as a new financial analyst in that office as well. So Cade has been our intern in that office and has familiarity with our processes. And so far, he just graduated from Stonehill College. So if you're by the office by any chance, please introduce yourself to Cade. So he's working closely with Michelle on that. We have also, understanding that we do have a bit of a gap on the finance director position, we have hired on an interim basis a gentleman by the name of Steve Cirillo, who we've hired him out of the Collins Center from UMass Boston. And Steve has formerly been the finance director in both Newton and in Brookline. So he's basically coming in one day a week to make sure we close our fiscal year out successfully, and to kind of help provide some training to Michelle and support her in this endeavor. We are, in terms of the agreement we have with him, he is planning on staying, or we have him basically online to stay through the remainder or through September, basically, to basically help us get through the fiscal year. So that's really our focus at this point. We recognize there are some gaps in terms of where we're looking on this front. It's probably inadvisable to go back out and look for another finance director at this point because we've just been out. When we hired Patty, we were out with Paradigm, we out recruited. That just did that recently, and unfortunately, like going back out that quickly might not be in our best interest. So we're trying to let a few more months go by and take care of that. So that's where we are on the town accountant side. On the treasurer collector side, we have promoted Robin Healy to that slot. Robin comes to us from the school side of things. She worked with Steve Mark. So Robin hasn't been a treasurer collector before. So Steve has been providing a lot of the training on that front to help support us. Basically between him and Kim, and Kim Kubo is our assistant treasurer collector. Kim's been providing support on that front as well. And that whole process has been going pretty well. So that's basically where we are right now in terms of the finance department. I could give a few other updates, Tyler, in terms of staffing, if you'd like.
Yeah, just that'd be great, Ryan. Just before you move on from that, I guess just a quick question. So kind of, who should our main contact be right now? Should we be reaching out to Michelle with any questions, or or to kind of stay in sync, or is it more appropriate to kind of go through you for that? I just, I'm not sure.
Tyler, I'd say both of us. I think both of us at this point, because right now, Michelle is trying to take on more responsibility. And I think there's some things that I could probably provide answers to that Michelle couldn't, and vice versa. So I think if you have questions, to just follow up with both of us, and we'll team up on providing and supporting the finance committee in whatever way that we can.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I want to kind of follow the similar, kind of process with the select board's following, with making sure we're looping it, you in as appropriate, and not, distracting.
Oh, sure.
Can I ask one question?
Okay. Yeah.
Can you just explain what that is you were talking about? You said you don't want to go out again so soon. Is that like some sort of a municipal recruiting type thing, or?
Well, so here it is, Jerry. So we went, when we went out after Alicia left, we hired a recruitment firm to support us, so to help our chances of getting an applicant. We went through that process and didn't receive any applications at the time. This is a very hard position to fill, not only for us, but throughout all municipalities. It's just they're just the same thing with treasurer collector. We're just not having a lot of luck with it. So as such, we were able to get Patty, because Patty used to work with Anthony. And so they started that conversation, and Anthony was able to convince Patty to come. And now, from that point, Anthony is no longer with the town, and Patty made a decision to move on as well. So we're trying to give it a little bit of time, so that we are. It's never a good look to go out too soon when and repeat that vacancy or advertise for a vacancy. So we're just trying to give a little space to it, Jerry.
I guess my disconnect is if it's hard to fill positions, and I know it is in my own work life too. It just seems like if you're not out there, then you're missing this time frame when there could be a candidate that then gets hired someplace else. So just to not be out there, to me, is just a little concerning. Yeah. But I understand your point.
Yeah, and we've talked to the recruiter again about it, and what he's seeing, and what advice they give, and I think that their perspective was just to maybe just give it a little bit of time, because Patty wasn't with us that long, so we run that risk of frankly looking like a revolving door, Jerry. So that's the thing. It's the risk we run, but at the same time, I don't disagree with you. We certainly have some needs, and as such, when we have a retreat with the select board scheduled for Wednesday, July 12th. And, I think there's a number of things that, and this being one of the key ones, to talk to them about in terms of strategy and moving forward, and what their thoughts are on it. So,
to me, I guess I feel like the short term that it was is more a reflection on the candidate not, wasn't here really long enough to form an impression of us. But if you wait 6 months or a year, then to me, that looks more like, every year they're replacing it. That to me just looks worse. But
it's a point taken. The point taken, Jerry. And you never know what people, what opinions people come up with, and it's just. Truth be told, none of it's ideal.
Right, for sure.
To be very frank, it's a difficult circumstance, and and so it's I don't know. Yeah, there are a lot of different ways to think of it, but I can provide just a few other HR updates, though, Tyler, if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
On that front. So we are both we have employee job descriptions going before the personnel advisory committee in the next couple of weeks for health director and facilities director. As you recollect, or hopefully recollect, that we had some conversation about both those positions and trying to add some additional salary for both of them. But PAC still needs to go through it. They need to grade the positions. And once they do that, the hope is that we'll be able to go out for both of those and start the recruitment process on that front. Regarding the town administrator search, I think we've got everybody on the committee with the exception of the PAC. They will be hopefully naming someone at their next meeting as to who that fifth and final member of the search committee will be. And then they can proceed forward from there in terms of the committee doing their work. But from that period, you know, I would think that at a minimum, you're looking at probably 4 months that it's going to take to advertise, interview, and go through that process. So that's what's going on there. Lastly, I'm looking to backfill, at least in a limited capacity, the ATA position. I had a conversation with a former ATA who I thought was going to come on, but had the conversation with them on Thursday. They thought about put it on the select board agenda, and then they thought about it over the weekend and called me on Monday to say they weren't interested. So as I've said to many of my staff, not the first time I've been rejected, and certainly won't be the last. So I got to try to find something else to to help fill that gap. Which there's a lot happening right now. And that I certainly could use some help on the project side of things. Couple of just quick things for you guys to be aware of. Also on the finance side of things. We just recently completed a update on our chart of accounts, which was something that we've had planned for a while. So just really more of a cleanup thing that we've been using our firm called Clifton Larson Allen that's been assisting with us on that effort. They're also helping us with our year end because this will be Michelle's first time working through a fiscal year end. So they'll be supporting us on that front as well. And then the other thing we're doing is upgrading our municipal software. It's probably not great timing, but basically they're as with most software packages, they're stopping support for the old version of Munis and now asking us to move forward. So that effort's happening in August. We were able to identify someone who used to work at Munis, who now will be supporting us through this transition. And that'll probably, and again, that's going to happen both in July and August. And basically, she's going to be serving as a project manager for us on that. So there's again a lot happening in the finance department right now in terms of the work that's going on that front. So that's where we are in the staffing side of things. So,
but if I can ask a question in this, I don't know if this is or isn't related, but we'd had some conversation in email wanting updates on the Indian Hill project, and I'm just not sure who's looking at that, who's crunching the numbers, figuring out what is and isn't essential, and when we might, see that. And I think we have a sense we'd rather get a heads up on that sooner than later.
Mm-hmm. Tyler, I can get to that. Brian, I was about to get to that. That was just
great. Thank
give
you.
you the staffing part of it. So
Okay.
Tyler made it clear that you wanted to talk about some of those things. So then I can give you guys some updates on some other projects if you'd like as well, Tyler, if that's okay.
Yeah, but just before moving off staffing, I guess the one other question I had, I guess is kind of ancillary to it, but I know Steve's been helping out in a lot of capacities, and then now with the changes in Treasury, is there an anticipated date as I'm kind of winding down so Fincom gets them back? That's been a gap for us too. So
I haven't. You're right. Steve's been very helpful and been involved with a lot of different things that we've been engaged in. Haven't talked to Steve in the last couple of weeks in terms of what his specific timeline is, but we have talked about him segueing off. So I don't have a specific date, Tyler. I think I'd probably have to have that conversation with him again. But right now, it's really his focus more is on the training side of things and providing support for the new treasurer collector and the assistant treasurer collector. So, but we do fully anticipate that he will be concluding his time with us, but still available too, which is important.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, it just kind of made me realize with my time, kind of running down, our normal transition of kind of vice chair to chair isn't, is a little broken, but we'll talk about that when I get to member.
Yeah.
I forgot I was in there.
Yeah, I think we've had enough. I think we've joked enough with Steve that there's only so much chocolate and begging that and groveling I can do to have him stay on. But so I think we understand that. Yeah,
he's done a good job with it.
Thank you.
All right. So on to Indian Hill, I guess.
All right. So projects. So as I said to the finance committee, the select board has a retreat scheduled for Wednesday, July 12th. And we're going to be talking a lot about staffing, talking a lot about projects. So Indian Hill, really, I'll be honest, there is not much of an update to provide on it because when we had the special, as I talked to you about all of the changes and the staffing gaps that we have. Frankly, there's some things that that I just frankly haven't had time for. So one of the things I'd like to talk to the select board about is next steps in thinking about what they want to do for Indian Hill and where they want to take it. Same goes for the Nagog Orchard. Select board had a couple of meetings ago, I believe. When we had brought up the idea or wanted to talk about next steps for the orchard because the lease efforts that we've made, it was about 9 months worth of negotiations only to see that fall through at the end. And so we were I basically had town council come forward and provide a memo to the select board regarding potential next steps for the orchard. And one of those potential steps could be looking into selling the orchard. Now, one of the things that we've emphasized over and over again with this would be that if we were to sell it, there are agricultural preservation restrictions on most of the property. So we would still want to maintain it as a farm. We wouldn't be looking to to do anything different than that. So when we put this on the agenda, and then word started to spread, I believe, online in terms of some thoughts about, well, the town's looking to sell this for a profit and not, to not have it be a farm and et cetera, et cetera. And I think roughly about 30 people showed up for the select board meeting that night. And so that took a lot of effort to try to explain to people what we were thinking of and what we were doing. And I need some clarification from the board to kind of really have the chance to speak with them after that meeting and really help provide some guidance regarding how we want to move forward. I know that there's, at least with Matthew Nordhaus, he's on the Nagog Hill working group, and I think the working group will be wanting to meet and try to provide some guidance on that side of things. But it's at this point, it's sort of a neutral. We're taking care of the site. DPW is down there and cutting the lawn and doing the basic maintenance. But we need we do need some direction from the Nagog Hill working group and of course from the select board regarding next steps on that front. So really for both of those things, there's really not much in terms of an update to provide, frankly. So and again, that's a lot of that is a reflection of what the current staffing situation is in my office. I can, however, provide some updates on some other projects that where we have had some progress. So Tyler, if that's okay, if I could share that.
No, absolutely right. I mean, anything that anything you feel should get on our radar. We most definitely appreciate the updates.
Sure. So first thing is the town center sewer project. we have, well, the LELWD has signed off on the two major sewer projects that in total for both the treatment plant and the collection system, which total about $40 million. So that is moving forward. The town is also in the process of working with Lapoli companies on a memorandum of understanding. The Lapoli companies, working in partnership with the town, was able to ascertain $9.5 million of MassWorks grants, and we have been kind of going back and forth with Lapoli companies because the town needs that $9.5 million to pay for the sewer project, and Lapoli companies it was anticipating that $9.5 million would help to bankroll the beginning of their project and work at 550 King Street. So we believe we have essentially an agreement in principle, which basically the Lapoli companies is promising to backstop the $9.5 million on the back end of the project to make sure that the town is kept whole, and they're going to provide that assurance through either a cash bond or a letter of credit. We are still working through that, but it's certainly been a bit complex, but we are getting there and working to the final stages of that. I'll be honest and say that conversation and that effort has really taken up a great amount of my time. And but I think we're getting someplace on that front, and that is heartening to see. We had a meeting yesterday regarding the senior center.
Excuse me, Ryan, before you go, what's your expected sort of accomplishment date or sign off date on the Lapoli agreement? Is it going to drag on?
Yeah.
Or?
No, for the last update I can give you is that the attorneys are working on it right now. So our attorneys provided an update to their attorneys. I checked in with Tom today asking what the status was, and he said he hadn't heard back from them. I said, this is probably a great opportunity for you to give them a reminder and keep pushing that along, because waiting on that doesn't benefit anybody. So the hope so when I think about my time and things I'm emphasizing, it's an important thing to get in hand sooner rather than later. So absolutely.
Yep. For a number of reasons. So
I concur wholeheartedly. So
yep. Okay.
And Ryan, I just want to say thank you for all your efforts in that regard. Understand this complex. Thank you for doing it, man.
No, let's see. I'll feel better when we have the MOU signed, Brian. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there. Let's see here. Regarding the next thing is we had a meeting on Monday regarding the senior center. The design team is looking to try to find some ways to value engineer some aspects of that project. As with so much of the construction cost that we're seeing now, the inflation is just crazy. So things that we went through a list of about 40 items that the team is recommending changes on. The team said yes to most of them. I think there were a few things that was important to our council on aging director, like type of flooring and things like that. But we were able to, our goal is to stay within budget and of course keep it on schedule. So right now it's looking like a groundbreaking sometime in the September, October timeframe. So that is making progress. I think the fact that we were able to have that meeting and know that with those changes that we have a better chance of staying within budget. Now, until such point that we go out with our bids, that's to be determined. But I feel like we have a capable team. It's basically the same architect and owner's project manager that we've had in place for the library, who we work very well with. And I'm optimistic that we'll be able to move that move that through. So that's what's going on with the senior center.
Excuse me, as an adjunct to the senior center, the infamous pickleball courts, they could, if we don't have a solution for those people, that could turn into a real hornet's nest. I'm
glad you didn't say it could be a real pickle, Fred, because that would have been a really bad pun. I'm glad
well, it could be, but I'm just wondering, do we have an agreement with the schools that we can paint lines and they can use those courts for a while, or?
I thought it was just tennis courts we had to replace, not pickleball courts.
Well, now everything has to include pickleball. And I'm going to throw out a crazy notion, and I'll preface this by saying I'm incredibly tired. I've been up since about 5 o'clock this morning, so write it off for that. But tell you what, let's turn the orchard into 100 pickleball courts.
There you go. There you go. There you go. So I think, Fred, to get back to your question. Yeah, I think that is on the list of matters that we have to discuss with the select board. We recognize losing the 2 tennis courts isn't ideal, but frankly, I have to do my own level of prioritization in terms of things I can focus my time to, which right now it's been more of sewer projects, MOU with Lapoli Company and things of that nature. So it's been, but that is something we have to turn our attention to. But there may be a possibility that we may need to make alternative plans to, for the provision of, of tennis and maybe the pickleball lines that, like you said, in there might be a possibility as well. So it's, it's something else we need to look at and pay attention to.
It's just a watch out for you, because it'll be a real pain in the neck if we get to fall and they start tearing up the tennis courts and we don't have an answer for people on that. So just be aware of that. That's all.
Yeah, but and I'll tell you too, Fred. I mean, we that's why we were looking at Cooper Farm. We had that plan in place, but I know that some members of the finance committee had that concern. So we kind of backed off of that. So we can do what we can, and but point taken.
No, it's just.
Yep. Just a couple other quick updates, so I don't take up your entire night. Regarding the Shaker Lane school, we are waiting for some edits on a request for proposals for an owner's project manager to bring that on board. So we're waiting for some comments or edits from MSBA, Massachusetts School Building Authority. When that comes back, we'll make that adjustment and then post it and advertise it so that we can hopefully be going back to the MSBA board back in October with a recommendation for an OPM on that project, which would be great. And finally, the last thing, that project update I get, we want to provide everybody with today, Town Council has circulated an updated intermunicipal agreement for extending the water system to Boxborough. As you may remember, the town meeting voted to support the IMA, support the borrowing with the idea that the IMA needed to be in place before June 30th. So right now it's June 27th, so we have a few days left. We've been I will tell you that because I've had a role in Boxborough and have this role in Littleton, I have consciously asked to not be a part of this because it's it's kind of a lose-lose proposition for me. But in terms of where things are now, Boxborough is in support of the current draft. Nick Lawler in representing LELWD has given his support, and it's the recommendation of Town Council to the select board that they also now endorse the current form of the document. So it is currently being reviewed by Chuck and Matthew, and basically the whole board is taking a look at it right now. But the board has authorized the chair, in this case Gary, to sign off on it. But I think it's progressed well, and in a place that the majority of the members feel, well, not the majority, but that we feel comfortable with endorsing. So that looks like that's coming along as well. So, and that's all my project updates and personnel updates. I realize I've taken a whole half hour, but so there's honestly, I mean, I hope it gives you a sense of the finance committee, just a sense of just how busy things are right now. There's a lot happening.
Mm-hmm. This is Fred. Do you have a sense or a target date for fall town meeting?
Yes. So thank you, Fred. Yeah, it looks that we're aiming for November 1st, same date as last year. And I think I don't know what day, if that's a Monday or a Tuesday. Let me just check. It is it's actually it's a Wednesday that we're looking to do this on. So I think we didn't want to do it on the 31st. And the Monday, which was the 30th, I think that LCTV wanted to have a little bit of extra time to do that. So we're looking to target November 1st as our special town meeting date, which incidentally is the same date that we had it last year.
Okay, so basically we have 120 days to wrap some of these things up. And, assuming, Lapoli and you guys come to agreement, then that takes some pressure off the sewer problem. And if the IMA comes through, and one thing that town council, I think, made a point of in the last select board's meeting, was that this is only good until the special legislation goes through, and then that takes precedence. So it's quite likely that there will be some sort of ongoing tweaking to accomplish the special legislation that's needed or desired in this situation. So I don't want people to think that, we get the IMA signed and we're all signed, sealed, and delivered. And Jerry, you were in the meeting. I'm pretty sure that's what they're talking about. And, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I just, don't want people coming back and say, oh, well, I thought we were all done. When, our town council is warning us that whatever the special legislation process is likely to change something in the language somewhere. So just be aware of that.
Fair to say, Fred. Thank you.
Yeah. And the other thing that I've been sort of thinking about while we have you, the last couple of town meetings, and certainly for years and years, some pretty big projects have been voted on 10 minutes before town meeting. And I really think we're doing the taxpayers a disservice by not having our ducks in a row by time we go to print. And that's only like 2 or 3 weeks before town meeting. So that when the book goes out, whatever the major articles are should have our recommendations, or the Light and Water Commissioner's recommendations or Select Board's recommendations in there. So when the books go out, the taxpayers have something to chew on. And I know this kind of takes the 120 days between now and town meeting down to 100 days, something like that. But and we haven't discussed this as a finance committee, or I don't imagine that the select board has discussed this, but I really think going forward that we owe it to the taxpayers to be as buttoned up as we can by time we go to print, so that what we send them in the mail is really what, is really what we feel, and not, gee, I don't know, we haven't voted yet.
Fred, the only thing I'd say, I'm going to say to the finance committee the same thing I said to the select board too. I think you have to note that, we went from a TA and an ATA to me. And, I certainly concur wholeheartedly. I love to be able to have these things buttoned up. But I just want to be very forthright with anyone who, comes to us. I mean, I gave you the overview of all the changes that we're having and how we're trying to bootstrap things in the finance department. I hope that that's the case, Fred, but I also don't want to make any promises about where things go in terms of. I know that would be something ideally I like to do, but I want to be very frank with anybody who comes to me in terms of
Yep.
How much stuff I have on my plate and what I can realistically do. So I just
that's absolutely fair, Ryan. But I think rather than it be us getting after you to do it, it's us getting in the same boat with the select board. And if both of our boards say that this is what we're going to do, it may mean that we don't bring Indian Hill back in the fall and it goes out to the spring,
Right.
or the orchard or whatever. But and I know that you're shoveling against the tide here, but I think not discussing it is just sort of puts us further behind the 8 ball. That's all.
Right. Yeah, I think it's more a conscious decision that if we're not ready, we're not ready, and then we're not getting into the reactive mode of rushing it, right? Which puts everyone under stress.
right.
I have one other question. If we could just jump back to the orchard for 1 second. I know you said that the sale wasn't going to be for profit, but if we did sell it, what happens? Is it a cash flow positive, or is there all debt on it, and where does that extra go?
So that's a good question, Jerry. I think that understanding that if we were to sell it, that would be part of the question that we'd probably be working hand in hand with the select board and the finance committee on as to where those funds should go, and what we want to do with it. So there's some thought about, would we take that and, take the proceeds and put them to the CPA? So I think we'd have to give a lot of thought as to how that would be, because we want it to probably be thematically consistent with how, the reasons why town meeting purchased the building or purchased the entire farm, and thinking about positioning us potentially to buy other open space moving forward. So I don't really presume anything, but I do think that if we were to do it, it would be incumbent upon us to be, again, working with the select board and the finance committee to determine an appropriate place those funds and any profit should be deposited to. I should say any proceeds, I should say. So.
Yeah, Jerry, there's not debt on the property, right? So I think that's what you're asking. What you're asking. There's not debt that we'd have to pay off for that as a sale, right? So would there be proceeds, and we'd have to decide how to use them, but there's not outstanding borrowing or anything.
Yeah, so we're not making a profit, but it is adding to our cash position.
Right. There's not, there's not a loan or borrowing that we have to pay off with some of those proceeds.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Correct.
Thank you.
All right.
But it is something, Jerry, just it is something to think about, though, like how you position yourself with it. It's a good point, and I think it would be part of the package as to how we think of it.
Steve's going to run the farm. We have our solution, right? The Venuti orchard.
That will be the thing that Steve will finally leave us on. I think maybe that may be what breaks him. So well, we could. There you go.
All All right.
Tyler, I know we had that proposed vote too. If I don't know if that's, I get your agenda.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to forget that.
No, Ryan, I'd already posted, so I was going to get that. Actually, this is probably the appropriate time to jump to that. I remember updates if you
Sure.
want to run with
Right,
that. I have the verbiage up as well.
Okay. So I'll just introduce the verbiage on it. So, as I mentioned to you, we're getting also the end of fiscal year 2023. With that, there was the Mass Municipal Modernization Act, which was put in place in 2017. And basically what it allows for is the last 3 months of the year and into the first half week in July, gives basically the town accountant permission to make transfers among the operating budget, both salaries and operating expenses to cover any year-end deficits. So I know we're still in the process of finalizing what those deficits are. We haven't closed our books out, but we know that there'll be some accounts that we need to make up for, specifically I think about the town administrator salary line item, which has got some we're looking at a deficit already there. But we will be able to, with this motion, make transfers among other areas where we have salary savings for positions, say, that we haven't filled, and make up for that. So again, the fiscal year hasn't ended, but the request I put into Tyler was to seek the approval of the Fincom, and I'll be making the same motion, requesting that of the select board at their meeting at July 10th to essentially allow for us to make up for any deficits. If anybody's got any questions, please let me know. But otherwise, Tyler has the motion that I had asked for him to get the finance committee to approve of tonight.
Is this just amongst salaries you're talking about?
Well, no, it allows
all accounts?
all accounts, right? Okay. But it's got to stay within the municipal, within our entire municipal budget. So I can't go to schools and do this. It's got to be within town. This would be for town operating salaries and expense line items.
Okay.
But we normally meet the first or second week in July with the numbers. And, it's for the most part pretty pro forma, but at least we know what we're voting on. Is it bigger than a bread box, or is it, size of a thimble? I don't have a clue as to how much is being moved around and why and where we're going. And so
So Fred, this gives us the authorization to do it, and we would, of course, report back to you in terms of what we're looking at. And again, because of we've got one individual just fresh out of college who is just started with us on a full-time basis. Michelle's trying. We just finished the chart of accounts project. So again, this gets back to your earlier point. I'd love to be able to have that whole list for you right now, but we at this point, I think we need to close the fiscal year out, which we'll be doing over the next few days, and then coming back to you with what those transfers would look like.
I think this is a good proposal, and I'd love to support it. I do wonder if it would be possible, or just see what you think about putting an upper limit on it, because Ryan, we know you, we have a great working relationship with you. We know you would never do anything funny, but one could imagine, these transfers tend to be, in the, a few thousand, a few hundred, maybe a few 10,000. Would it?
Well, we're not talking reserve fund transfers. You're just talking about between the already established budgets.
Correct. That's right, Jerry. Right. And say, for example, right now, just by giving means of scope, Brian, for the payout of for Anthony's piece, that's close to potentially over $100,000. So that's so there are going to be some significant some significant transfers, which for items that we know select board made a decision, and now we, need to make up for it. And this was all part of the plan, seeking this request to make up for those deficits.
Right. But, and what I'm thinking is that for, okay, I got to move a couple $100 between A and B, or a couple $1,000 between C and D. Oh, good. $100,000.
Mhm.
I could see us wanting to be just a touch more involved. And so I wonder if it would make sense to amend whatever the motion is to put some upper limit on it. Not that it would prevent it, because to do the payout, you have to do it, but maybe we do it in the old style.
I mean, Brian, I would tell you that in terms of the improvement or the changes that have been made to state law, we certainly are within our rights to do this and make all these transfers. To Fred's point, I think getting a report to you in terms of the transfers that we'd be proposing and trying to give you a table of update on that's fine. But at the same time, what this would probably have to be is me then coming back to you on a meeting on like the middle of July, for something that, frankly, with the deficits, we really don't have much of a choice. We have to.
Well, it's money that's already been spent. It's not that you're not asking to spend money. You're just asking to account for it differently.
That's right, Jerry. Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean,
So think basically what it's doing is it's burning next year's free cash, is what you're telling me.
Actually, no, because free cash would be monies we wouldn't otherwise spend. So say if there's a deficit in say the town administrator's salary line item, there's that deficit needs to be covered in some way, shape, or form. So in the case of say the facilities director, that was a position we didn't fill all year. So we know we've got salary savings for that. So the transfers basically say from the salary savings for not hiring someone all year because of various other reasons, and then transferring it into the TA salary account because of the departure of the TA. So it wouldn't be something that would fall to free cash, Fred. It would be something that we just need to cover for this particular fiscal year to cover deficits in specific departments.
Right. I just think that with this particular one, all of us at the head table, I think, did not cover ourselves in glory when asked the question, where is this money coming from? And none of us could answer. I don't think anyone in the audience was impressed by that. So,
and Brian, just to tell you, I think the select board agreed with you on that. And then at a subsequent meeting during the sort of citizen updates or member updates, Gary made a point to provide the public with a full update in terms of where we were thinking, what the payment out would be and what the costs were, and also mentioning that that this year-end transfer would be a strategy that we would be utilizing to make up for that deficit. So the board agreed with you as well, I think, to that point.
Okay. I guess I still feel like for sort of almost pro forma things, the change I think is great. Again, when it gets to six figures, which shouldn't be usual, that should be pretty unusual. I think, when it gets into six figures, I think have it coming back before us is not terrible. Just my thought.
Right. I don't necessarily anticipate there'll be a lot more per se than that. It's just that particular one was that was a big one, and wanted to bring that to your attention.
Sure.
So, Ryan, I mean, do you think, well, I asked two questions. I mean, do you think you'd have clarity on what the transfer is going to be by our next meeting on the 11th, and would voting the motion on the 11th, screw up your time frame for moving stuff? Because I know this covers the first 15 days of July as well, right?
Right. So, so I think, I really, it's a good question, Tyler. I tend to, if I'm going to say anything now, I'd say likely no. I think we're still, I don't know what the time frame is going to be before we actually can say, okay, the fiscal year is closed out. Now we're going to go through this exercise and try to break everything up. But I can't keep you, I can't keep you informed. And, you know, I don't, because we're meeting with the select board on the 10th. And I don't necessarily anticipate having that information. I'm just looking for the authority to be able to do it, because we really don't have, it's really not, it's just a way to balance things out as we finish the fiscal year and gives us some flexibility.
Yeah, I get it. So I guess what I'm trying to think through is it sounds like we're kind of, Fred and Brian have some concerns, and I was modifying the motion, to the kind, in a way that kind of handcuffs your ability to do, that large transfer anyway. It doesn't seem to be much value in voting that motion right now. So that's why I'm trying to just figure out what path makes the most sense, right? If you're going to have to.
But, I think, honestly, I'd say like the motion in itself is fine, but I think I can make you a verbal commitment that immediately when I, at such point that I have the update and know, what those deficits, and have a table basically and can show you what we're looking at. Then, I certainly would commit to get that to you and the entire finance committee so you can see where things are. And then you could make a determination from that. If you want to, get an update on anything on that front, we can do that. I just, knowing where people's schedules are, seeing there's only 4 members on this, on this meeting, I just want to kind of keep things moving.
Right. And the thing is, Ryan, I guess I'm just thinking, with all the turnover we've had, I absolutely feel confident with you. But, in 2 years, none of us might be here, and one of the places where Fincom has had, I think, success over the years is making policies so that, 2 years from now, it's still the rule and we're not relying on a verbal commitment, even though I absolutely take you at your word on your verbal commitment.
Right. And Brian, what Tyler has is an actual, so for me to do it, I need a vote from the select board and the finance committee to begin to make those transfers. So, the problem would be is if you said, no, I don't know what else, that would kind of put us into a different place in terms of, the fact is that we have known deficits and not a way to transfer among, accounts, which is actually pretty, it's our standard practice that at the end of any fiscal year to make up for, known and unknown deficits. But so again, I have no problem in sharing the table. You guys can look at that table and then, come back. Or if you want to add that, Tyler, to the motion, that's fine. I just don't know when it's going to be completed. We're just so short-staffed at this point.
Yes. So let me read out what you had proposed as a motion, and then Brian, Fred, if someone is so inclined to move, and would like to suggest a modification, then so be it. The verbiage that Ryan had asked for was move that the finance committee vote to authorize the town accountant to transfer any amount from a departmental or other appropriation to any other appropriation to address any deficits within the town of Littleton fiscal year 2023 operating budget. So that was the requested verbiage.
Yeah, I would be okay with that, with the caveat that the finance committee gets an accounting or a report on the credits and debits, where it came from and where it went. So going forward, once again, we've budgeted for a facilities director, and we're using that money for probably the 14th time to do something else. So I just like to see an accounting of where the money comes from and where it's going. And I do understand the hornet's nest that you're in the middle of, Ryan. So I'd be okay doing that without some big meeting on it. But I do want to see the accounting.
That's fine. No problem.
And I really hate to be a pain, but I would I want to amend it to put $100,000 cap on it.
So Brian, here's the problem. Right off the bat, I can tell you we can't meet that threshold. I'd
Can't
have
do
to come, so, and ask you for things that are already known. So I guess, maybe the question would be, when you think of it, like what are you trying to get at with that? Because I can already, I'm giving you the scope on things that I already know that I'd have to come back in front of you for.
Right. Yeah. And I'm trying to think, like I said, 2 and 5 years down the road, but I will decline to make the motion. So, or I will decline to propose.
Right. So, yeah, so going back, I guess, so Fred, yeah, so do you want to make a motion as you amended for this and can bring it to vote?
Sure, I'll recommend that we vote to approve the motion with the addition of the Finance Committee receiving a full accounting of the transfers.
Okay, so I'll read out, I guess, to sort of make it easy for Marilyn. So I guess we'll say the motions. We'll move that the Finance Committee votes to authorize the town accountant to transfer any amount from a departmental or other appropriation to address any deficits within the town of Littleton fiscal year 2023 operating budget, providing an accounting of reductions in funding or of those deficits and funding sources is provided to the Fincom. That work, Ryan?
Yeah, it's provided the Finance Committee be provided with an accounting of the transfers.
Yep. That's fine. Yeah, that just so we're aware of where the money came from. Because,
Understood.
we're already starting the next budget cycle, so.
All right. So we have a motion moved by Fred, seconded by Jerry. Roll call vote since we are on Zoom. Fred?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
And I'm a yes as well. All right. Thanks, everybody. Brian, thank you. Feel free to jump off and go back to your family.
Thanks, Ryan.
Okay.
You can
Thanks,
hang out as
everybody.
well.
Thank you.
Fine.
I apologize the updates took so long, but there's a lot happening, and I'd rather, make sure you get those updates and have that information than not.
Yeah.
We do
No,
too.
it's great. We appreciate it.
Again, I
Okay.
appreciate your efforts.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to member updates. Brian, you're in my upper left corner, so I'll start with you.
No Fincom member updates in part because the company, my day job company, folded due to corporate fiscal malfeasance.
Oh,
Geez. I'm
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's that's actually probably more than even I'm allowed to say, but so it's been kind of, last 2 to 3 weeks have been a little nuts. But
It's not like we're on TV or anything.
yes, I didn't say, so let me say alleged malfeasance.
There you go.
Anyway, so I've been busy elsewhere. That's it.
Great. All right, Jerry.
I have nothing.
All right. Fred. You always have something, Fred.
No, I think
Wow.
Ryan is a one-arm paper hanger right now, but I do think that we should get together with Gary and the select board and talk about whether we want to continue, going to town meeting with half the information or on some of these big projects. And I think that it's just not the right thing to do. And that's just, again, my personal opinion. We haven't discussed it as a board, but I really, thinking back over the last several years, there've been a number of projects that, 5 minutes before town meeting, you're kind of pressured into making a vote. And
Yeah, and they
I-
haven't been, yeah.
Yes.
They haven't been small ones either, right? There's been a lot. I mean, I think there's always been last minute little things, right? But we've had some big ones lately. I mean, I think the point was great, Fred, right? And I think it's just, it's the willingness to say no. I think that we have to get, try and get some consensus on, right? If we're not ready, we're not ready, and let's just not rush it and have another Indian Hill or whatever, right? I mean, we have so much big stuff going on that we just need to take a breath,
Yep.
Right. And I think we actually did ourselves proud at the last town meeting because we said, no, we do not have enough information. We will not say yes. I think that I'm very proud of us for having done that. And I think we salvaged our credibility because I think the town sees that if we're not satisfied, we're going to say no.
Yeah. And I agree. I mean, Brian, the end result of the article pull was good, but it would have felt even better to have gotten there a month before and never had it in the warrant until it went out in the mail, or we've had some big ones where there haven't been numbers in it, right? So you get to, I guess that would have been the case with that one, right? There wouldn't have been a number, so people could have been assuming it was $100,000 and it was $5 million, and since there wasn't a number in the bulletin, people are going to show up based on those numbers, especially when they're big, right? And yeah.
But the Indian Hill one still kind of bothers me a little bit now because they're not doing anything with it. And so the longer you drag your feet on it, the more the costs to rehab it are going to go up while the building's sitting vacant, and we're going to end up back where we started or higher. So
Yep.
I know nothing against Ryan. I know he's doing more than his fair share. I thought somebody else was going to, I thought that was the discussion at one of the select board meetings, that someone else was going to kind of spearhead value engineering that and seeing where the cuts could be.
Right. Wouldn't you think
I'd like to see someone moving on it.
Wouldn't that be the PMBC?
Yeah. I mean, I know that was tossed around, this idea, Brian, but I don't think it's. I mean, I don't know the process for officially getting something on their list, but I don't think I don't think they've been charged with doing this.
They would seem to be the board in town that has the nominally has the expertise.
But but they would have to be charged by the select board.
Right.
If they, and maybe that's something that, I don't know whether Tyler, you're comfortable talking to Gary about it or not, but, take it off Ryan's plate and put it on PMBC's plate. I think, but somebody has to do it, that they can't just assume it. And see the hoorah over silly pickleball. If people don't have a place to play pickleball, there's going to be hell to pay. And I don't play pickleball, so it doesn't make any difference to me. But we told people they were going to have a place to play, and nobody seems to be picking up that ball. So I just
How about the IBM park? How about the
pick up the pick going on with it? Huh?
How about the IBM parking lot until they start doing construction?
Well, maybe Shattuck Street parking lot, since half of the town is going to be moving out of that building, right?
Yeah.
or the idea was to paint lines on the high school.
Right.
Because most of the time when people are playing, the kids aren't in school. So, or they are in school and it's the seniors. And, they're no threat to the high school. So, but it's just one of those things that's gonna flare up. I can see it now.
Right. And the thing is, September is like 20 minutes from now already.
Yeah. Well, that's why I asked about fall town meeting. I mean, it's only 120 days away.
Right.
And it's only 100 days away from the book being printed. So.
Yep.
Alrighty.
All right. So for me, right, my only little, I guess my update is just, so I didn't post an agenda item for kind of reorganizing, and we're down members, so I don't think it's really the right time to do it, right? But we're going to, on Friday, we're going to kind of go into a gap in structure, right? With Steve still being on hiatus as the vice chair, as my time being up, the school committee has not reappointed a member. They kind of lost track of the fact that that there was going to be a vacancy. So I'm going to try and swing by and talk to Diane about, kind of what that means for us as far as quorum, and have her push a little bit. She reached out to the school committee this week, but I think, at least for the next meeting, if we're going to have it on the 11th, we probably need a volunteer or someone that's willing to, kind of coordinate with the town clerk's office to get it posted, right? That really falls on us. We don't have.
Are you resigning?
No, but I don't. But my term. I mean, I've not been reappointed, Fred, and my term's up on Friday, right? So school committee.
But the way the finance committee works is you're on it until you resign,
Appointed,
or somebody is appointed in your place. So officially, you don't drop off the face of the earth on June 30th.
Okay. So even though
he may want to, but he may want to, Fred.
And that's okay. That's a different. That's a different scenario.
I do, but I mean, a couple of weeks won't kill me, right? It's more just I thought we had to be reappointed, Fred, for our since we have kind of an expiration date.
No,
okay.
you can touch base with Diane on that.
All right.
Unless something changed, because in the past, back when Savis and some of the other managers down at Light and Water, they wouldn't reappoint somebody until they get around to it in the fall, but it just kept rolling. So
I'll stop by and talk to Diane this week then, and shoot out an email.
Would it make sense to appoint someone like Fred to be the vice chair, knowing that we can rearrange later, but just so, if right now we don't have a vice chair, and Tyler, if you're in sort of a limbo-y land, mightn't it make sense just to have Fred become at least vice chair for the moment? I know you didn't ask for Fred, but I'm volunteering you.
It's fine. It's fine with me, but I mean, I'll do it if you want, but I think it.
Do we feel comfortable voting that without having that posted on our agenda, or is that something better to put a fork in and talk about 2 weeks?
Yeah, reorg needs to be an agenda item, and
so let's we'll live in limbo for a couple of weeks, and we can post that for the next one. But I'll go talk to Diane this week. Okay.
Now, Al is on basically personal business in New Jersey for a little while. Yeah. And where's Tom? I mean, I haven't seen him in a dog.
I mean, I'm not sure he was planning on continuing on the finance committee, but I don't know if he's done anything about that either. So I will reach out to him as well. That's why I'm trying to get some clarity.
Who's he appointed?
That's what I'm saying. Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
Who's he appointed by?
The town moderator.
Tim Gardner, yeah.
Right. And I will say, nothing against him, he does an amazing job, but I've never understood why the moderator gets a Fincom.
Well, in Boxborough, the moderator, and in a lot of towns, the moderator puts the entire finance committee together. So the other boards have no say. So it's a really wacky position that finance committee is in the towns and the municipalities.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So moving on to approval of minutes, if there's no other member updates. Marilyn, I know we have one set that you sent out. Did everyone get a chance to review those? If you want to come off mute, feel free.
Okay.
It was strong.
What I went in to see what I have that hasn't been put up, and I have the 13th of June, which was 2 weeks ago, and then prior to that, it was the 22nd of March.
Okay, so we're definitely missing some.
Marilyn, did you get any feedback on either of these?
No.
22nd?
No.
Okay.
All right. So Marilyn, when I talk to Diane, I'll talk to her about that as well, and maybe we can have you go and listen to some recordings
Okay. I mean, yeah.
if you're willing.
Tyler, can I stop in and get the exact wording for that from Ryan tomorrow with
Absolutely.
the townhouse? Okay,
Sure.
thank you.
All right. So can I get it?
Yeah, I'll move that we approve the June 13th minutes.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from June 13th, 2023. Roll call vote. Jerry? Fred?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
And I'm a yes as well. So that carries unanimously. All right. Public input. There was someone here earlier, but it looks like he's left. So I guess we'll move to adjourning and having dinner. I can get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Fred.
Beat to
Roll
adjourn.
call vote, Fred.
Okay, aye.
Jerry.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
All right, and I am a yes as well. So with that, we are adjourned at 8:11. Thanks everyone for your time. Marilyn, thanks as always.
You're welcome.
And, talk to everyone soon.